In the heart of a towering glass empire, where power suits dominate and janitors go unseen, one quiet man stumbles into a secret that could change everything. Liam Carter, a struggling janitor with a past full of regrets and a future clouded in bills, never imagined his life would intersect with greatness. But one lonely night, while scrubbing the hallways of Vale Tech's glittering headquarters, he hears quiet sobs from a supply closet, and opens the door to a secret the whole company would kill to keep hidden. Inside he finds Emma Vale, brilliant, ruthless, untouchable. The billionaire CEO known for building an empire and burying emotions. But here she's not a titan of industry. She's just a woman broken by betrayal, haunted by loss, and desperate for someone to see her, not her title. As an unlikely friendship blooms in the shadows of a supply closet, the walls between their worlds begin to crumble. Gossip brews. Loyalties shift. And when corruption threatens to destroy them both, Liam and Emma must decide: retreat to their corners, or fight for something neither of them thought they deserved. The clatter of a mop bucket echoed through the marble lobby of Vale Tech Tower as Liam Carter swiped his badge and pushed the service door open. The building loomed above him like a silver monolith, its mirrored skin reflecting a city that never really cared for men like him. Inside, fluorescent lights flickered to life in waves, revealing corridors polished to perfection and untouched by the chaos of daylight hours. Liam adjusted the strap of his worn janitor's bag inside. Another night. Another floor. Another 12 hours of invisibility. At 37, Liam's body was beginning to protest the physical demands of the job. His knees cracked more often, his back tensed by hour 2, and his hands bore the kind of rough texture that told stories of long shifts and short paychecks. But what choice did he have? After his wife's death 3 years ago, he'd taken any job that offered a steady wage. Cleaning a tech giant's headquarters wasn't glamorous, but it kept the lights on at home for him and his 8-year-old daughter, Mila. Floor 47. The executive level. Most janitors preferred to clean the lower floors. Easier, quieter, less risk of running into someone with enough power to fire you for looking the wrong way. But Liam didn't mind the silence up here. No phones ringing. No elevator dings. Just the soothing hum of computers in sleep mode and the rhythm of his own movements. Tonight felt different though. As he unlocked the janitorial closet near the glass-walled boardroom, he paused. The hallway was dimmer than usual. The silence wasn't comforting, it was heavy, charged. A subtle shift in atmosphere that prickled the back of his neck. He brushed it off. Ghosts of exhaustion probably. He filled his mop bucket, sprayed down the handles, and got to work. 2 hours in, he was making his way down a side corridor, one rarely used, when he heard it. A sound that didn't belong. A sofici, broken sobi. He froze. It came again, quiet, muffled, like someone was trying not to be heard. Coming from behind the supply closet door at the far end of the corridor. That closet wasn't one he used. It was marked storage, exec access only. Protocol screamed in his head. Don't touch anything above your clearance. Don't ask questions. Don't open doors that don't belong to you. But he was human before he was a janitor. And someone was crying. He approached cautiously, heart knocking against his ribs. He knocked once, lightly. Hello? Everything okay there? No response. A moment later, another sob, sharper this time. More desperate. Liam hesitated, then turned the handle. Unlocked. The door creaked open. What he saw stopped him cold. Sitting on the floor between shelves of cleaning supplies and unused monitors was a woman in a sleek black dress, knees drawn to her chest, makeup smeared by tears. Her heels lay discarded to one side, and a shattered wine glass glittered on the floor beside her. She looked up, startled, eyes swollen and red. But even in that state, Liam recognized the bone-deep elegance in her posture, the designer tag peeking from her coat, the watch on her wrist worth more than his monthly rent. And then he saw her face. Emma Vale, the CEO, the queen of this glass kingdom. He blinked. She blinked back. Neither moved. I'm sorry, he stammered. I thought someone might be hurt. I didn't mean to intrude. She didn't speak, didn't scold him. Just stared, blinking slowly as if unsure whether he was real. He shifted awkwardly, lowering his voice. Should I call someone? Security? An assistant? She finally spoke, voice hoarse. No, please, just go. He nodded, but something in her expression, raw, exposed, human, made him pause. Liam reached into his bag and pulled out a battered thermos. Without a word, he set it down gently on the shelf beside her. Coffee. Is strong. Might help. He stepped back, not waiting for thanks or acknowledgement. As he walked away, the image of her stayed burned behind his eyes. The billionaire CEO crying alone in a closet. He didn't know what her story was. Didn't want to. Not yet. But something told him this wouldn't be the last time he opened a door and found more than he bargained for. And for the first time in months, Liam Carter felt the world tilt, just a little, toward something unexpected. The next night, Liam walked into Vale Tech with a head full of questions and a promise to himself. Don't get involved. Still, the memory lingered. Emma Vale, CEO, billionaire, infamous ice queen, crying in a supply closet like a child hiding from monsters. The look in her eyes when he opened the door wasn't one of anger. It was something worse, resignation. Liam pushed his cart across the marble floor, trying to focus on his checklist. Vacuum. Sanitize touch points. Disinfect bathrooms. Avoid drama. But when he reached floor 47, he hesitated. The hallway was quiet, bathed in pale blue security lights. He found himself glancing toward the same supply closet, half expecting, half hoping, it would be silent. It wasn't. Not sobbing this time. Just the faint scrape of movement. A whisper of fabric. Someone was in there again. He stood outside the door for a long second, debating. Then knocked softly. It's just me, he said. No answer. He slowly opened the door. She was there again, sitting on a folding chair this time, back straight, wine bottle in hand, half drunk but composed. A box of tissues balanced on her knee. You came back, she murmured. I work here, Liam replied, shrugging. Emma smirked faintly, but it didn't reach her eyes. So do I, supposedly. He stepped inside, leaving the door slightly ajar. You shouldn't be in here. It's not exactly a CEO suite. It's the only place they don't follow me. Her voice was brittle. No cameras. No staff. Just quiet. Looks more like hiding. She took a sip of wine and didn't deny it. Liam leaned against a shelf. You good? No, she said. But I'm used to that. He waited. She didn't cry this time. Instead, she looked at him like he was a puzzle no one had ever tried to solve. You didn't tell anyone, did you? She asked. No. Why not? Didn't seem like my business. That surprised her more than it should have. Everyone in her world sold secrets. Even silence came with a price. But this janitor, this complete stranger, just walked away and left her dignity intact. Emma set the wine down, wiping her eyes with a tissue. Do you know who I am? I figured it out. And you're not afraid? I clean up after people. The only thing I'm afraid of is mold in the break room sink. That drew a dry chuckle from her. He straightened. I'll leave you be. Just lock the door when you're in here. There are others on this floor. She nodded. As he turned to go, she called out. What's your name? Liam. Thank you, Liam. He didn't answer. Just nodded again and walked back into the corridor, heart beating a little faster. By the end of the week, Liam knew her schedule better than the building's HVAC system. Emma came to the supply closet on Tuesday, Thursday, and late Friday nights. Always after 9. Always alone. She never asked for him but never told him to leave either. It became an unspoken routine. She would talk. He would listen. Not about business or corporate deals. About silence. About loneliness. About the weight of wearing a crown no one respects until you bleed. Emma spoke in short, sharp sentences, like she was afraid too many words would make her shatter again. Liam responded in calm, steady tones, built from years of shouldering his own pain. One night, she showed up with a swollen eye and trembling hands. Liam didn't ask who did it. She saw the question in his eyes and said flatly, "Glass door. My fault. I wasn't looking." He nodded, but something in his gut twisted. She sat cross-legged on the floor, hair in a messy bun, makeup wiped clean. You ever just want to walk away? She asked. All the time. What stops you? My daughter. Mila. She's 8. I think I'm a hero. Emma looked at him like that was the most valuable thing she'd ever heard. Silence passed between them. Then she said, I inherited a company built by my father. All my life I thought if I could grow it, I'd prove I was worthy of it. But it just made me smaller. I don't think anyone sees me anymore. I see you, Liam said quietly. The words hung in the air like a string pulled tight. She blinked. A tear threatened, but she blinked it away. In that moment, the mask cracked. Not shattered, not gone, but enough to show the woman behind the myth. Vulnerable. Humans. Real. For the first time in years, Emma Vale let someone see her, not as a headline, not as a commodity, but as a person. And Liam, janitor or not, looked right back and didn't flinch. The next time Emma arrived, she didn't speak at first. She entered the supply closet like it was a chapel. Slow, reverent, tired. Liam was already there, changing a filter on the wall vent. He didn't look up. She sat across from him on an overturned milk crate. No wine. No tissues. Just silence. Liam finished his task, wiped his hands on a rag and glanced at her. Rough day? Emma nodded. He didn't press. They sat like that for nearly 10 minutes, two strangers bound by quiet, like notes on opposite sides of a page. In the corporate world above them, words were weapons, silence was weakness. But here, silence was safe. Finally, Emma sighed. They voted against me today. Liam raised an eyebrow. My own board. I proposed a restructuring plan to save 300 jobs. They chose profit margins over people. Again. Liam didn't say, I'm not surprised. He knew how the world worked. But he saw the flicker of guilt in her eyes, like she'd once believed she could change it. They told me I'm too emotional. That I've lost objectivity. She laughed bitterly. I was supposed to be a machine. Turns out I'm just tired. Liam handed her his thermos again. Machines don't drink coffee. She smiled. Genuinely. In that closet, she didn't have to be the billionaire CEO. And Liam didn't have to be invisible. They were just Emma and Liam, two tired people leaning on each other in a place no one else cared to look. I don't know why I keep coming here, she said. Liam shrugged. Maybe it's the coffee. She gave him a look. It's terrible. That's fair. Pause. But, she added softly, you listen. No one does that anymore. He nodded. That's something I can do. It wasn't a grand declaration. There were no sparks, no dramatic music. Just the quiet realization that someone was willing to hold space for her pain. And in a world that demanded perfection, that was more revolutionary than love. The next morning, Liam arrived earlier than usual. He pushed his cart past security, nodding politely, then rode the service elevator straight to floor 47. As the doors opened, he caught a glimpse of suits, early arrivals, power brokers with Bluetooth headsets and frowns built into their bones. He kept his head down. Vacuum. Trash bins. Sanitized glass. At Emma's office he paused. The door was cracked open, a rare sight. Her office was a minimalist fortress. White leather furniture, digital artwork, and a panoramic view of the skyline. A place designed to impress, not comfort. She wasn't there. But something caught Liam's eye. On the desk sat a photo, slightly turned away. A man and a young Emma, maybe 16, with matching sharp cheekbones and ocean blue eyes. Her father, no doubt. The founder. The legend. Liam looked away. None of his business. As he turned to leave, he heard voices down the hallway. Sharp, urgent. She's losing control of the team, one man said. She's bleeding sympathy all over the budget. We're in a boardroom, not a charity. You think she's still fit to lead? The voices passed as quickly as they came, unaware of the janitor in the corner. Liam exhaled slowly. So that's what Emma was up against. Later that night, the supply closet door creaked open again. Emma stood there, not as fragile as before, but tired, guarded. Liam offered her the chair. I heard the sharks circling, he said. She gave a tired laugh. They always are. But this time they smell blood. He waited. I don't trust anyone up there, she admitted. Even the people I promoted. They smiled during the meetings and sharpened knives afterward. Have you ever thought about walking away? Liam asked. She looked at him like he'd suggested robbing a bank. Vale Tech is my family legacy. Legacies don't tuck you in at night, he replied. People do. Emma hesitated. You think I should quit? I think you should decide what matters more, being right or being whole. Her eyes held him for a beat too long. You sound like you've had to choose. I did. I lost my wife. Got wrapped up in pride and work. She got sick and I wasn't there enough. I won't let that happen again. Emma looked down, throat tightening. I didn't cry at my father's funeral, she whispered. I thought if I cried, they'd think I couldn't lead. Liam leaned forward. They don't get to define what strength looks like. Another silence. But this one felt heavier, deeper. Then she said it. My COO is trying to edge me out. Liam blinked. Seriously? She nodded. He's meeting with investors behind my back. leaking selective numbers. They want someone more stable, less emotional. And you? I'm watching it happen like I'm already a ghost. Liam didn't know corporate strategy, but he knew what betrayal looked like. I'm no executive, he said, but even ghosts can haunt the ones who wrong them. Emma smiled, a glimmer of steel returning to her eyes. For the first time in weeks, she looked like a woman who remembered her own fire. And Liam? He realized something too. This wasn't just a passing connection. He was being drawn into a storm that could either destroy them both, or change everything. The following week brought a shift in energy, not just in Emma but in the building itself. The hallways buzzed with tension. Meetings started earlier. Voices were hushed. Liam could feel it through the walls. He knew that feeling, the calm before something cracked. On Thursday night, he found the supply closet door open before he arrived. Emma sat cross-legged on the floor, papers strewn around her, wine glass full but untouched. He hesitated at the doorway. Are you expecting company? Only the janitor, she said with a small smirk. He stepped in and quietly closed the door behind him. Rough day. I confronted Damon, the COO. Told him I knew about the investor meetings. He didn't deny it. She looked down at the papers in her lap. He practically dared me to do something about it. What did you say? That I still sign his checks. Liam gave a low whistle and sat opposite her. You're brave. I'm cornered. There was a beat of silence before she added, You ever feel like everyone in the room is waiting for you to fail? Just watching? Not even helping. Just waiting to pick up the pieces when you break? Liam thought of his former job in construction, the men who talked behind his back when he took time off for his wife's chemo appointments. How they called him soft. Yeah, he said. But the thing is, sometimes they're not watching for you to fail. They're just hoping you don't, so they know they don't have to either. Emma looked at him, something flickering behind her eyes. You know, she said softly, most people I meet want something from me. Money, favors, connections. What do you want? Liam shrugged. Honestly? Just some peace and quiet. And maybe to not be invisible. Her expression softened. You're not invisible here. And you're not made of steel, he replied. They sat in silence for a while. She finally reached for the wine, took a small sip, then set it down. You know, this closet has more soul than my penthouse. Liam chuckled. That's because it's full of old carpet cleaner and regret. Emma laughed, actually laughed, and the sound bounced off the metal shelves like music. For the first time since they met, she looked less like a CEO and more like a person simply trying to breathe. She didn't ask him to stay. He didn't ask if she needed him to. They both knew the answer. It was the first time Liam had ever been invited upstairs. Not floor 47, but above that, to the private executive lounge on the top floor, where the ceiling stretched higher than some apartments and everything smelled like imported leather and citrus polish. He wore the only clean button-down shirt he had. Emma had texted him from an anonymous number. Lunch? Come upstairs. I cleared it with security. He thought she was joking. She wasn't. The lounge was nearly empty when he arrived. A few suits looked up, brows raised. Whispers followed him like shadows. He ignored them. Emma sat near the window waiting. A tailored black blazer, soft silk blouse, hair pulled into a low bun. She looked every bit the CO, but when she saw him she smiled in a way that didn't fit the room. Brave of you to come, she said. I clean toilets for a living, he replied. A little rich man room doesn't scare me. She grinned and waved him to the seat across from her. The waiter approached, clearly confused. Emma ordered for both of them without flinching. I thought maybe, she said, we could talk in a room that doesn't smell like floor wax. I kinda like the wax. Smells honest. The food arrived, delicate portions stacked like modern art. Liam poked at his plate. Is this lettuce pretending to be steak? Emma laughed again. She was laughing more these days. You don't have to pretend up here, she said quietly. I don't know how to pretend, Liam replied. That's why I never made it very far. She looked at him thoughtfully. Maybe that's why I keep coming back to you. They ate in comfortable silence. Around them suits watched, phones buzzed, forks clinked. But for once, Emma didn't look like she was performing. After lunch, she walked him to the private elevator. You know this is going to stir things up, she said. He nodded. Let them talk. They will. About you. About me. About this. Liam met her gaze. Then let's make it worth talking about. For a second, her breath caught, like she wasn't expecting that answer. The elevator doors opened. "Same time tomorrow?" he asked. Emma smiled faintly. "No closet required." As he rode back down to the lower floors, past marble lobbies and hushed corridors, Liam realized something. He was still a janitor. She was still a billionaire. But something between them had changed. Not just how they saw each other, but how they saw themselves. The supply closet had changed. The mop and bleach still sat in the corner, but the space now held something invisible, something warmer. Not just secrecy. Not just silence. Something like sanctuary. Emma arrived earlier than usual that night. She looked different. No heels, no blazer. Just a hoodie and jeans. Almost unrecognizable, except for the guarded look in her eyes. Liam was already there, kneeling on the floor fixing a loose shelf bracket. "You dressed down well," he said without turning around. She smirked. "Don't get used to it. Hoodies don't impress investors." He stood and dusted his hands. "You don't need to impress them." "That's a nice thought," she replied. "Naive, but nice." They sat across from each other, the space between them now comfortably familiar. Emma took a breath. "I want to tell you something. I haven't told anyone." Liam nodded. "I'm listening." "My brother died when I was 19, she said, voice low. "Car crash. He was only 17. I was supposed to pick him up that night. I got stuck at a fundraiser with my father." She paused. "He called me. I ignored it. I thought he'd understand." She looked down. The car hit black ice. "They say he died instantly." Liam didn't interrupt. He let the silence breathe. "My father never said it was my fault. But he didn't have to. He buried himself in the company after that. I think we both did. We built walls so high we couldn't see past them." Liam studied her face. "You were a kid. I was the heir. That meant no room for guilt, no room for weakness. You still carry it." She looked up, eyes glassy. "Every day." Liam swallowed hard. "I know that kind of weight." He paused. "My wife Claire. She got sick just after Mila turned 4. I thought I could fix everything, pay the bills, stay strong, be everywhere at once. But I wasn't there enough for either of them. Not really. Not when it counted." Emma's voice softened. "You blame yourself?" "Some days. Yeah." They sat and shared grief, the kind of grief that doesn't compete, just understands. Emma leaned back, exhaling. "It's strange. I'll tell you things I'd never tell my therapist." "Maybe it's the acoustics," Liam said, nodding at the metal shelves. She laughed quietly. "No. It's because you're not trying to fix me. No. Just listening." She looked at him, really looked. "You're not what I expected when I opened that door." He smiled faintly. "Neither were you." Monday morning arrived like a storm front, cold, fast, and merciless. Emma stepped into the executive boardroom in heels that struck the floor like warning shots. The 12 board members started as she entered. Some are curious, some tense. Damon Knox, her COO, wore a perfectly composed smile. It didn't reach his eyes. Emma took her seat at the head of the table. "I understand there have been concerns about my leadership," she began calmly. Damon folded his hands. "Only discussions, Emma. We're all just looking out for Vailtecha's future." "Funny," she said, flipping open a folder, "because I have documentation showing several unauthorized investor meetings held by you and 2 others in this room." A beat of silence. Damon's smile faltered. "Is this a witch hunt?" someone asked. Emma looked up. "It's a reckoning." Damon leaned back, cool and measured. "Emma, with respect, lately your decisions have been impulsive. You're fraternizing with non-executive staff. Bringing a janitor into the executive lounge? That's not stability. That's recklessness." The room shifted. The word janitor hung like smoke. Emma stood. "His name is Liam Carter. He's the only person in this building who's spoken to me like a human being in months. Maybe that's what this place needs." Damon's voice sharpened. "You're compromising the company's image." Emma stepped closer. "What I'm compromising is your illusion of control. I know about offshore accounts, the backdoor agreements." The room erupted in murmurs. "You're bluffing." Emma slid a USB drive across the table. "Try me." Damon paled. The meeting dissolved into chaos. Voices raised. Phones lit up. Emma walked out, pulse pounding but her face serene. Later that evening she sent Liam a simple text. "I made a move. They're coming for me now." Liam replied. "Then I've got your back." That night, the closet stayed dark. Not because they'd outgrown it, but because the war had moved into the light. Liam arrived at Vailtech on Tuesday with a strange weight in his chest. His security badge didn't beep the same way it used to. Maybe it was his imagination. Maybe it was the storm Emma warned him about. He walked in anyway. By 9:12 a.m., he was pulled into the maintenance office. Liam Carter? A man in a blazer, flanked by 2 HR reps, didn't look up from his clipboard. You've been let go. Effective immediately. Liam started. What? Violation of professional boundaries. Inappropriate conduct during work hours. Pause. Frequent unauthorized presence in executive areas. It was calculated. Clean. Sharp as a knife. This is retaliation, Liam said, voice low. Because I had lunch with someone you don't like. We don't discuss internal personnel matters. You'll be escorted out. Within 15 minutes, Liam was out on the sidewalk, cardboard box in hand. New York buzzed around him, uncaring. He didn't text Emma. Didn't want her to think she'd made it worse for him. But that night she called. Why didn't you tell me? I figured you had bigger things to deal with. You're not disposable, Liam. Could have fooled them. There was a pause. A quiet breath over the line. They can silence you, Emma said, but I won't let them erase you. Emma arrived unannounced at Liam's apartment the next day, wrapped in a gray coat, her driver waiting in the idling car downstairs. The neighborhood was quiet, run down but not broken. Children laughed in the distance, and someone was grilling in a nearby courtyard. She knocked. Liam opened the door, surprised. You found me. I have resources, she said, stepping inside. His apartment was small but clean. Modest furniture, shelves lined with Mila's art, a framed photo of a woman, his late wife, on the counter. Emma stared at it for a moment. She was beautiful, she said softly. She'd have liked you, Liam replied. Emma looked around again. The couch with threadbare arms. A chipped mug on the coffee table. She sat down. This is real, she said. I don't have an office with a skyline view, he said. But it's home. She looked at him. Do you regret it? Getting involved with me? He thought for a moment. No. But I regret not being ready for how hard they'd come at you. Or me. You shouldn't have lost your job. I'll find another. She shook her head. No. You deserve more than that. He sat beside her, the air still between them. I've spent so much of my life trying to become something big enough to matter, she admitted. But this place, your life, it reminded me that the smallest things, coffee, listening, being seen, matter more than power ever did. Liam reached out, gently touched her hand. You're not alone anymore. And for the first time in her life, Emma believed it. Emma didn't sleep that night. Instead, she pored over every document she could find. Every suspicious transfer. Every irregular expense claim is tied to Damon's name. The deeper she went, the uglier it got. Shell companies. Diverted funds. Manipulated budgets designed to discredit her leadership. By morning, she had a plan. It wasn't just about saving herself anymore. She called an emergency board meeting under her remaining authority as CEO. Half the board refused to attend. Fine. That made her job easier. The others showed up with tired eyes and wary glances. She laid out the evidence like a surgeon wielding a scalpel, calm, precise, unflinching. Damon Knox has siphoned nearly $4.7 million over the last 3 years under false project names, she said. I have the audit trail. And the whistleblower statements. Murmurs. Tension. Then, why now, Emma? She didn't flinch. Because I've finally stopped trying to prove I'm enough for this company. And started doing what's right for it. The vote to suspend Damon was nearly unanimous. By noon, federal auditors were on site. Damon was escorted out in silence, his name already wiped from the executive directory. Emma walked out of the boardroom and stood by the lobby window, eyes scanning the city below. She pulled out her phone. Emma, you were right. Ghosts haunt better than angels. Want to see the receipts? Liam. Only if it comes with coffee. Emma. Always. Emma Vale stood at the podium in front of a sea of cameras, reporters bristling with questions. The Vailtech logo gleamed behind her, sharper now, reborn from scandal. Today marks not just a turning point for Vailtech, she said, but for how we treat the people who keep this machine running. Flashes burst. Pens scribbled. I was reminded recently that value isn't found in titles or board seats. It's true. And humanity. She looked directly into the lens. There's a man who helped me rediscover that. He doesn't wear a suit. He doesn't sit in meetings. But he showed me what real leadership looks like: quiet, kind, and consistent. Liam watched from a tiny diner across the street. Mila, sitting beside him, pointed. Dad, she's talking about you. He smiled, heart caught between pride and disbelief. Emma continued. Starting today, we are launching an internal equity initiative designed to elevate and protect the voices of every employee from the bottom floor to the boardroom. Thunderous applause. She stepped away from the podium, her eyes scanning the crowd, but her heart turned to a quiet supply closet where everything had begun. The supply closet hadn't changed. Same scuffed linoleum. Same faint scent of citrus cleaner and something older. But tonight it felt like a memory, one too vivid to ignore. Liam stood in the doorway, a cardboard cup of coffee in hand. He wasn't wearing his janitor's uniform anymore. Emma had made sure of that. She arrived 10 minutes later, in flats and a long wool coat, cheeks flushed from the chill outside. You came back, he said. She smiled. I couldn't not. He handed her the coffee. House blend. Still terrible. Good, she said, taking a sip. Would have hated if you started changing now. They both sat, instinctively finding their old spots. A soft silence settled between them, comfortable, unhurried. Emma looked around. Feels smaller. You got taller, he teased. She rolled her eyes. No, you just got closer. Liam looked at her then, really looked. The fire was still in her, but it burned steadier now. No longer frantic or angry. Just alive. I wanted to give you something, she said, reaching into her coat pocket. She handed him an envelope. He opened it and froze. Inside was a job offer. Director of Facilities and Workplace Culture. Full salary. Full benefits. What is this? Emma leaned forward. A real job. A real title. One you've earned. One that lets you make sure nobody in this company feels as invisible as you once did. He swallowed hard. You didn't have to do this. I didn't do it for you, she said. I did it because of you. Liam stared down at the paper, overwhelmed. You're offering me a seat at the table. Emma smiled. No. I'm building a bigger table. And I want you at it. They sat quietly for a moment more. Then Emma reached into her coat again and pulled out a second thing, a folded piece of paper. What's that? He asked. My resignation letter. Dated 6 months from now. I'm stepping down. Liam blinked. You're leaving Vailtech? Eventually. I've started something I want to finish. But after that, I think I want to build something of my own. Something smaller. Something real. She looked at him. Maybe even with someone. He didn't speak right away. Then softly, dinner? She smiled. You're asking the billionaire CEO to dinner in a mop closet? He nodded. Seems appropriate. Emma grinned, took another sip of the terrible coffee and leaned back. This closet, she said, has better karma than half the penthouses in Manhattan. 6 months later, the rooftop garden of Vailtech buzzed with quiet laughter and soft music. What was once an abandoned deck had been transformed, green vines lining the railing, flowers bursting from planters, lanterns swaying gently in the breeze. At the center of it all stood Liam, now in a crisp button-down and vest, chatting with Mila, who twirled in a new dress beside the buffet table. He turned when he heard her heels. Emma. She wore a navy blue jumpsuit and a silver pendant, a gift from Mila, apparently. You clean up nice, she said. You too, he replied. Boardroom chic meets rooftop realness. She stepped beside him and looked out at the city skyline. So, he said, last day? She nodded. I handed over my badge this morning. Scared? Free, she said. Scared comes later. He chuckled. A few Vailtech employees passed by, raising glasses. People smiled now when they saw Emma, not because they feared her but because they respected her. You changed things, Liam said. So did you. They stood there in the breeze, silence stretching like a ribbon between them. You still fixing leaky faucets? She asked. Only the ones in the boardroom, he said. She turned to him, serious now. Do you think we met by accident? No, he said, meeting her gaze. I think the universe got tired of watching us fall alone. She reached for his hand. I have a proposal, she said. No shareholders. No contracts. I'm listening. Let's start something. Alive. Not perfect. Not glamorous. Just honest. Liam squeezed her hand gently. That sounds like the cleanest start I've ever had. The music shifted. Emma led him to the small makeshift dance floor. They danced, not smoothly, not perfectly, but with joy. And above them, the stars began to blink into the night sky, watching two people who had once lived in shadows, now choosing to move forward in the light.